Greetings and salutations, travelers. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and as always, welcome back to our Around the Hearth discussions. This time, we are discussing weird, wild widgets, and we've already got some populating in there, so I'm going to move up, no spoilers, for y'all, and we are going to have be talking about the different items for this particular flavoring of the Weird and Wild West. So that's what June is. It's Showdown at High June. So we're keeping that up. But it's time to get into Dan's introductions and announcements. Since it was me last time, we'll let Skrat go first in these Dan's introductions and announcements.
Well, how about that? I am Skrat from Squirrel Police over on YouTube, talking about a lot of ttrpg reviews this year, but when I'm not doing that, I like to focus on the storytelling side of things, which is world building, character building, making some interesting plot points and scenes. And as of recording this, the last video I did was using fear, like how to build that up and make players or readers or viewers, depending on what you're doing, actually get that perspective and feel that fear that the characters are actually experiencing, because storytelling is what I like to do. So
Link in the description.
Oh, well, no, I won't have the second link for a good while, even though I got it back from a structural edit today, but that's still got a ways to go. I don't know how happy I am with the editor yet, so I have another one of those adventures. We'll see. But that's me. That's what I do.
Okie dokie. And then you obviously found me. I'm Adam L. Spain with the Inn of Planar Crossroads. It is, and the Gentle Voice Ministries. It is innofplanarcrossroads.com or theiopc.com. Either one of those works to get you here. And it's just a little blurb about me on the site, and it's got YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Subscribestar, PayPal, Locals, and Patreon if you want to check out any of those. I don't have the Patreon link up there, but I've got the other 3 links up there for support if you want to support through any of those. And doing so gets you access to our Discord, where we share any of these things that we make, as well as just memes and fun stuff and things like that, and you can talk with us. Also, you can check out you also get, when you support even just once, your name in the Bloopers and Outtakes portion of each of the episodes. So there you go. I don't have a whole lot to talk about this time. This is our 4th discussion in June series, in our Showdown at High June series. This one will probably go a little bit faster because we're going to be talking about mainly just some items that you can check out. Before we get into those items, we need to, since we've finished with Dan's introductions and announcements, do our shout out. And we've been taking a lot of inspiration from this shout out this time. It is Tales from Elsewhere. Tales from Elsewhere is it's like Lovecraft, Eldritch stuff meets Wild West. Very fun. In my opinion, it's fun. I like the Lovecrafty stuff. So that's there if you want to check it out. It's got it's both a system and a setting, so worth looking at. And we've also been talking about another system that we'll bring up in a minute, especially when we get to items, because it's got a lot of different mechanics than Tales from Elsewhere on items. But you can check out Tales from Elsewhere. His most recent one was about, Threat Reprisal. It says recycling monsters on there, but Threat Reprisal is more about bringing up threats again and things like that, using threats over to help with it. But
it went along with the video. I'm like just a day before his, we did a little collab thing talking about building the threat and making players feel the fear.
Feel the fear, because when you're talking about Predator being the action horror that it was and how influenced. Oh, yeah, that's a good.
And Alien.
Yeah. All right, so that's that, and that means we're done with Dan's introductions and announcements. We're done with Levi's shout out. Speaking of which, get him up to about 4,000 so he can have a solid lead over us, I guess, for the subscriber count. But we're done with that. It's time to grab your preferred beverage for the final time in June, this 2025, and join us around the hearth as we discuss in Councils of Kane. Here we go. There we are. Weird Wild Widgets. Skål.
For High Noon June, we should have all been drinking sarsaparillas.
Sarsaparillas. I mean, Coca-Cola's old enough, isn't it? I think it is. But root beer and sarsaparilla are definitely older than Coca-Cola. So, anyway, getting into Weird Wild Widgets, we've already got 3 pasted in here from Skrat, so we're going to pick one of these at least. Let's see.
Well, we can breeze through them. Like I said, 2 of them were. One of them's a very basic item. The other one's was character dependent. Actually, and then the MacGuffin-y kind of one was also character dependent. So the first one being the Weaver's Bottle, but we called her the White Lady. Is that what we called her? We ended up with.
Mm-hmm.
But her name was Sylvia, technically. But the townsfolk call her the White Lady, named after the dancing White Lady spider. So I had mentioned in that one that she had a bottle that she made out of her own silk. You riddle me how that works. I don't know. But she actually got some of the oil that we've been talking about that may or may not be cursed and, doing weird things to people. So, because I had the idea like she heard the oil, and we had mentioned in previous episodes about we came up with the Jerboa tribe. Since they got big old ears, we're like, they can hear the oil, you can hear the screams coming from it and all the cursed stuff. But I had originally thought she could do it, kind of a witch doctor lady, voodoo lady, but she bottled some up because she thought it was weird or whatever. I don't know what her reasons was, but point is, the characters can have that bottle, and they can pop the top and listen to the whispers of the oil. But you only get to do it once a day. Now, this would put a lot on the GM, and I would probably get put on the spot if I was the GM and wouldn't know what to do. But the idea is it gives you, and I put this in parentheses, hopefully a helpful secret of kind of where you currently are, like if you're exploring a cave or if you're in what if you're in Dodge, like we talked about, and there's a unsavory individual? It gives you some kind of hint that there's a traitor amongst you or something. Or if you're in the cave, like, hey, there's a trap over there. Or it can tell you in such a way that it misleads you, but is still technically correct. So it'll be one of those things where it's kind of up to the players to decide if they want to take that risk or not. But I also like the idea limiting it to once a day for balance reasons, not to drive the GM insane. But also you got to roll when you open it, and this would depend on what system you're using. I'm thinking D6s or something, so it's like just don't roll a 1. Like that's all you'd have to do. And if you roll a 1, you might spill it, which could cause a lot of other problems, or you get corrupted using it too much. GM dependent. So just a small risk, enough to make players reconsider. Like, hey, this is a dangerous item, but it might be really helpful. The other one, much more simpler, is just a crossbow that shoots a sewing needle with thread still attached to it. So, because we're playing as mice, right? You got to get a sewing needle in there somewhere. So it's your grappling hook kind of thing. So you shoot it up somewhere, and on a successful hit, it sticks into something, and since you got the thread attached to it, you can just climb up that. I thought that'd be fun. Now, the more important one that you could use in your plot is if you have that clockmaker person we talked about, that music box I had mentioned. They make a music box that starts playing when oil is near. Cursed oil, anyway. And if you're doing the quest for the boot, or they're trying the quest for the boot, or they're trying to find the boot, that can be their compass if you want it. That could be one way to use it. Or if you're there's some particular terrain you're trying to get across, or maybe you're going through a very dark cave and you know there's oil in there, like oil in the ground, you could use that to navigate. Or maybe there's a big flat plain. It's almost like a minefield scenario, right? There's just this flat plain you got to get across, but you know there's oil in the ground, so you're like kind of got that music box trying to figure out where to walk and where not to walk, more importantly, because the oil might come out and get you. So that's what I got.
Okie dokie.
My library of items.
Okay, so I think the sewing crossbow is, like you said, it's the most ordinary, so the players might come up with that one themselves. Like
That's just a little, hey, here's a fun thing you can buy. It's not exactly unique.
And then we also had suggestions over here. So, great mustache, but in Riker Thorne's haberdashery. And he gave some... He's called the Great Mustache for a reason. He's got an epic mustache. But he put in some different things for 3 different types of mustache. I think I'll copy these over here and maybe put them in the haberdashery's entry, maybe. But not necessarily use them here in the item thing. So I'm going to put them on some right here. So we'll use that, but not right here in items, I don't think. Especially since those are later customizable things too. So, put that right there. And then what do we got from Dan's option? Blazel Nut of the Skyforge. Wondrous item, requires attunement. Large dark crimson nut that is etched with natural spirals and runes, scorched into its shell by celestial fire, forged in the crucible of Skyforge tree's uppermost forge bloom. The blazel nut is said to have grown only once, fed by molten sap, the spark of a lightning elemental. When held, it radiates gentle warmth and gives off the faint scent of roasted spice and ozone. That's very fantasy. So, I think we might leave that one. Because that's very fantasy. Also, it's attached to the forge tree, the tree thing, which in this setting is not a good place. So, probably won't use that one. So, we've got 2 items here. The Weaver's Bottle and the Musical Instrument. I think that both of them...
They depend on you using the other characters. So,
I think that... Then... Evil's Instrument. Evil's... That's gonna be that'd be really good for the late game. I don't know. Would that be good for the late game or the mid game? Would that be something that they found in that second one?
Which one?
Evil's Instrument.
It depends. Like if you're doing that quest to find the boot, it'd probably be at the very beginning if you're using that as your compass, like that is how you're navigating to get there. But if you're using it to get across one piece of terrain or area, then it could go wherever you want.
Because it seems like it would be really good for at the end when you're perhaps navigating through the maze of the final dungeon.
Like maybe you get close to the boot or something like that, where there's more oil or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, like the music box will be playing whenever it's in the area of oil. So that means that it is when they burn the boot in the first mission to get rid of it, it will stop. So if
you burn the boot and then it starts playing after you burn the boot.
Well, see, yeah, you burn the boot and then, they leave it in their packs or something. And then they hear ding, 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 or something like that when they go on their next mission or something. Make it really hard to sneak up on things.
Yeah.
So that might be a problem.
I like the idea of them being several zones or however you're measuring into a cave or something, where they're kind of not trapped, but can't just go anywhere. And then all of a sudden the GM's like, hey, so-and-so, your music box starts playing. I'm like, oh no!
So this might be found during early mission. We'll say early mission so they don't have to put it in the boot one. But
yeah, so there's nothing says it has to be in there. That was just one way to use it.
Made by Clockmaker's Apprentice ? Because we'll have to see if we want to keep.
As I say, it also doesn't have to come from him, but that is a way to distribute it.
Well, if it's attracting things, like we talked about in the other one.
Well, that was just his inventions in general. That was a suggestion. Like, he could be making all these little contraptions, and that's bringing the oil and the infected in. Because if you're using the idea of the oil is using machines, like it does with blood oilers.
So, what we could do is make it where maybe it's mid-range. Maybe they find it's one of the things they find in the cave when they find Zilla. And that's where that's when they get it. And it's only playing very faintly around those people that are starting to mutate. And then it doesn't play at all when they're in Thousand Needles. And then they'll think it just kind of occasionally plays when they're in dodge. They might not realize right away that it's playing when they're close to something that's influenced by elsewhere. And it's like ting ting, just a couple notes when someone uses a piece of machinery that's drawing on elsewhere or something. So, okay, so let's do that. That means it's mid. It's a mid game. So that's mid range. The White Lady's bottle is more of a later game, because most likely they're going to interact with her after Lady Thornfeather. So, one thing I was thinking, if you want to keep the listening part unique to the mice, you could have her instead burn this like incense. and breathe it in. So whomever breathes it in gets the vision.
Yeah.
Like a sensor, they have to breathe it in. But that's why they have to roll, so that they don't, because if you're listening, you just cap it. But if you have to breathe it in, it's something you have to deal with. And it can give you perhaps a glimpse into what, because the way we're doing it is that these oilers there's some kind of mind is pushing the oilers, or the oil from the oilers that's corrupted, to do the thing it's doing. It doesn't necessarily do it on its own without some kind of push behind it, right? So there's like this something or someone is in the in that crash area trying to use the oil to accomplish something, whether it's corruption of dodge or whatever, you could work it that way. So that's a way you could do it. Okay. So there's that one. Now, what about an early item? We've got a starting, we don't have a starting item of any kind. We have a middle and late game. What would be something that was found for the, what is it? Boot full of trouble.
Maybe a crossbow that shoots a needle with a straight attack. Something early.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not quite as extreme as that cursed shotgun you had in the Tales from Elsewhere shot, but
yeah,
some kind of a special weapon, maybe. Getting away from enchanted and dark magic, maybe like the sheriff gives you a special gun that has a couple rounds of something good in it, or maybe just some special rounds you can use. Like, hey, this is good. If you're not tracking individual bullets, you'd be like, hey, you can start a combat with these rounds, and that lasts for the duration of that combat, and it's some extra damage, or it's effective against a certain type of enemy. Like, you're going out to find the boot, it's like, hey, you might come across snakes or this other kind of critter. This is really good for those. So it would have a very specific use, and then when you use it, it's gone. So
some
very
kind
simple
of weapon thing. I wonder, the religion in the game is kind of vague. It's a like pseudo Catholic style. So what if we did like something made out of a rosary bead or something like that from like, we could call it Jedediah's bead or something like that, because we haven't done anything religious yet in this one. That does have a focus in the game. So
now, would that be, say, when I hear that, I'm thinking like, oh, that's something you'd use against the oil, and then that's later, isn't it? So,
well,
I thought you were wanting something you could use soon, or are you just getting it sooner?
Well, the first mission is going and doing something with the boot, basically. I mean, you can have a lead-up mission, but this kind of gets the players going. And so if they find this prayer bead, a rosary bead is only about this big. So to them, about this big. So to them, you could turn that into a mace head or something like that.
It'd be kind of neat though if they, instead of an actual bead, it'd be their own beads, their own little necklace thing, their size.
Yeah.
Very, very, very beginning of the game, that you're getting ready to go out and the preacher comes to you. It's like, hey, take this, to protect you, because you don't know what you're going against quite yet, right? Depending on how you do it. And then you hang on to that thing for that entire adventure, and then it's usable at the very end when you get to the boot and you're fighting the oil monster.
Well, we said that they were going to get that quest from the preacher. From the sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
And up to this point, all the others have been connected to that. So the sheriff might have something that has protection. Ooh, what if we did like weird deputy badges? Badge of the Weird or something like that. Where they've been infused with the prayers of the Church of the Light. That's kind of the idea I've got for it. So, not too bad. It gives them something to keep track of. It sets them apart. But also, so for the viewers, what we've got so far, starting from the bottom and working our way up. So late game, we've got the White Lady's bottle. This is the Spider's Web bottle of oil. A little of the oil may be burned and the vapors inhaled like incense smoke to tell you a dark and hopefully helpful secret of whomever is trying to use the elsewhere infected oil against the city of Dodge. So this would be where you would go through that ceremony with, like, she'd show you how to use it, the spider would show you how to use it, and then you would use it to know, the next step along in this dungeon that you're going through, perhaps, or ideas about that. It can be used once per day per character to avoid madness, and must roll to avoid spilling or being corrupted. And depending on the size, you would just most likely roll anything but a 1 was the approach. Evil's instrument is an intricate music box found during Slow and Steady. Was being smuggled by Uncle Nut / Old Man Zilla unwittingly. It plays soft single notes when near small amounts of elsewhere, but clear, decisive ones when close to larger amounts. That can be worded better. Is especially useful for navigating through a particularly dangerous area with lots of oil in the ground in order to reach a specific destination, such as the area leading to the final dungeon, Great Oak Torden. And I imagine that, especially if you're using like the Mouse Ritter stuff, that journey along the way, this would be very useful to have, like, take this path, not that path type of situation and stuff. The Badge of the Weird. Old beat-up deputy badges. These particular ones have been blessed over and over again by the Church of the Light for protection. You are not their first owners. So there's kind of like, they've been blessed for protection, but you're not the first ones to be opening that. They allow your tiny weapons to actually harm the eldritch abominations that are regularly encountered when out here in the frontier. Don't lose them. So there is kind of a risk reward on that one, of even going out into the wilds. And it gives them something to make sure they recover. If you are playing this and you're playing it in such a way where you have it's deadly.
That would be Mouse Ritter.
Yeah. Then you would want to recover that. If you were using the Mouse Ritter rules, then you have limited bag space. You can't just take everything. So you may have to drop something to pick up the badge and take it back with you. So you could, if you're really playing with that resource management, it could do that and make this feel more risky, make it feel more that way. So might add a little bit in there. Maybe they get strong. Maybe the blessings get stronger if they pray faithfully each day. Like if you got a religious character or something, they might be able to bring out more. So we might put that in there. Okay, so these are old beat up deputy badges, but given to the PCs by the sheriff on their first mission. And then these badges may have more beneficial abilities as the game goes on and the players engage with the Church of the Light, or less if they allow the Eldritch corruption to take hold. So that makes it where not only can you get better if you engage with the light, but if you fall and you become corrupted, like if your other friends have to fight you or fight your character that's now been mutated, it's even harder to fight a dead PC than it would be to fight a non-PC. That motivates them to not let their buddies die. You better save each other, because otherwise you may not make it out either.
Forced cooperation.
That's called coercion. Oh, but these, I think I like the Badge of the Weird now that there's a risk, reward, and investment in it more now. So, I think these work. Any kind of things you want to go with in addition to that, or you think we're pretty good?
It's pretty solid. I mean, we got the one you start with, your badges. You got the instrument that you can get kind of wherever you want. And then we got the weird one, no pun intended, the bottle. So it's a pretty good spread.
Yeah. All right. Well, that means that we're done with this particular one on actually discussing the main portions, Councils of Kane. If you want to, the comment of this time is, that's kind of weird, but you have to use that funky spelling for it. You have to use the WYRD. That's kind of weird. So, use that. But that means we're done with Kane's conversations. It's time to get into Skrat's final question. What you got, Skrat?
Would you use a weapon made by something you fear, and what would it take for you to trust it?
In a game, I'm assuming. So
yeah.
In a game, my player character would. I can know that it's going to be false, or I can know it's going to be true because I'm the player. But the actual character, the character, I would say would need to. If I was to logic it out, the most applicable answer is the character that's giving me the thing that I don't trust. I have to actually think, or the character has to actually think that they want me to succeed more than they want the other. They want the other person to fail more than they want me to succeed, or however I'm trying to say that.
I get what you're going for.
So. That would be what it would be for my character, probably.
Yeah, it depends on the character you're playing, I guess. Because they could have different reasons, different thresholds there. What it takes to get them over the edge. Could be interesting. A paladin type, it's got a code he's following, and then he's got to take something from the other side, that's the not so holy, but he needs it.
Yeah, that's been done. That depends on your paladin. See, like if you're not a paladin, you have no code that you're actually holding to for reasons. Yeah. It's less applicable. It's one of the reasons why I think paladins and the paladin/champion difference is important, or when you're talking about these as classes, if your mechanics have no requirements like that, then your player character you can have your player character make a bunch of different choices that don't always agree with each other. You can be illogical. But if you're playing characters that have codes, like clerics or paladins or monks, those traditionally have codes that they have to follow, then if you break it, you actively handicap yourself in both not necessarily in the story, but in the mechanics, you handicap yourself. And since this is a team game, if you handicap yourself, you're handicapping your group too. So it can be problematic for that.
Yeah.
Unless your group is on board with the idea of roleplay being important, like what would the character actually do in this situation and stuff like that. So, if a paladin would fall because of something that's like he's got this chink in his armor for this one person that he has to save and he doesn't think the light's going to get him there, then he may turn to the darkness to do it. But in doing so, he becomes his own antithesis, his own anathema, and he falls. And he may be handicapped, but the darkness may see that and be like, I can use that. And so he may become anti-paladin.
The broken paladin.
He'll become Vader.
I like it.
Alright. Well, before we get into any more stuff, before any more questions can come out, and I don't think I have to worry about it too much because it's midnight-ish when we're recording this. It's almost midnight 30. So, we hope you have enjoyed this discussion. We're done with Skrat's final question. That means we're to the outro. Remember that we've been shouting out Tales from Elsewhere. He's got stuff going on. Check him out. He's got a weekly video out each day or each week. He has a video out, so you should be good there if you're wanting content. And he's at 3.9, so we were trying to get him up to 4, just so he had a solid lead in this race of subscribers.
Is he at 3 point? Well, he was at 3.8 when we started, wasn't he? Is it working already?
It must be working already. But that's Tales from Elsewhere. Skrat from a Squirrel Plays on YouTube and all that. Check him out. I'm slowly trying to convince him to mirror some of his content over to Rumble, so he's got a backup place that shared both places type of thing. And then we've got endofplanarcrossroads.com or the iopc.com. Either one of those works for me. That's YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Subscribestar, PayPal, Locals, or Patreon. Any of those are fine to get in contact with us, support us. If you support us, that means you get your name in the Bloopers and Outtakes reel, where we have our little Bloopers and Outtakes bits, as well as access to our Discord, where we share all the stuff that we make up. We kind of share there once I get it set up and everything. So, there you go. And that's what I have. So, travelers, we hope you have enjoyed. As always, have a great day, God bless, and enjoy. Bye.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.
Basic items and then one kind of MacGuffin-y item.
Ooh, what if we make it Weird and Wild Widgets?
Ooh. I like that.
That's the title.
Or The Weird Wild Widgets or something. Weird and Wild.
Weird and Wild Widgets. Weird. Or just Weird Wild Widgets. Wild Weird Widgets. It's fine the way it is. Nitpicking. All right. A mosquito in here.
Oh.
Keep missing it. Got it, I think. Yeah, I got it. Ha 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 ha. I'm a little too proud of myself.